You water them, you find the sunniest spot in the room, you might even talk to them, and yet, nothing. You scroll online and see someone's living room looking like a botanical garden, while your own plant sits there, perfectly green and completely flowerless. Most plant owners unknowingly fall into a biological trap. They look at bright green leaves and steady growth, and they assume those signs of basic survival mean the plant is ready to flower. But keeping a plant alive and convincing it to reproduce are completely different processes. In fact, the exact things we do to be good plant parents, keeping the soil perfectly moist, maintaining a comfortable 72 degrees year-round, are actively shutting down the blooming process. By building an artificial, climate-controlled paradise inside our homes, we strip away any biological reason for the plant to invest energy into flowers. It has everything it needs. Why reproduce? Comfort maintains life, but targeted disruption triggers a bloom. The first major disruption we miss happens right in the soil. A lot of us grab a bottle of general-purpose fertilizer, pour it in, and assume we've checked the nutrient box. If we look at a typical fertilizer makeup on this balance scale, you'll see they are heavily weighted towards nitrogen. Nitrogen tells the plant to build lush foliage, while phosphorus, needed for flowers, remains flat. When you overfeed nitrogen, energy is directed into growing greener. The reproductive cycle is starved. The plant looks incredible, but is cellularly unequipped to produce a bud. Treating all plant food as identical doesn't prepare your plant for a blooming cycle. It just locks it into an endless loop of making more leaves. Beyond chemical nutrients, the plant is also monitoring its surroundings through a mechanism called photoperiodism. This is how they track the precise length of daylight and the uninterrupted hours of total darkness to figure out what season it is. Look at this 24-hour cycle tracking a natural sun and moon progression. Out in nature, the transition from day to night is strict. Inside, we turn on lamps at midnight and close curtains at noon. This erratic lighting scrambles the plant's seasonal clock. Without a reliable signal, the cautious plant protects its energy reserves, hitting pause on flowering indefinitely. In nature, flowering is often triggered by specific environmental pressures: a sudden dip in nighttime temperatures, roots cramped in a tight space, or weeks of dry soil act as biological warnings. Those warnings tell the plant that its perfect environment is degrading. It senses a threat to its survival, and its biological response is to reproduce as quickly as possible to pass on its genetics. Indoors, we work tirelessly to eliminate every single one of those stressors. We water perfectly on schedule and keep the thermostat locked at a cozy temperature. We think we're helping, but absolute environmental stability is the enemy of reproduction. So if your plant is stubbornly stuck in survival mode, you have to change the inputs. You have to give it the signals it's waiting for. First, switch out the general-purpose food for a bloom-focused fertilizer. Give it the heavy dose of phosphorus it needs to physically construct the flowers. Second, enforce a strict light schedule. Find a spot where the plant gets bright, indirect light during the day, but more importantly, absolute darkness at night. Reset that internal clock. Finally, introduce a calculated amount of stress. Let the top few inches of soil dry out completely before you water again, or move the pot closer to a drafty window at night to simulate a temperature drop. By adjusting these variables, you align your care with the plant's evolutionary biology. You're responding to the same environmental cues that have triggered flowering for millions of years. The next time you look at a healthy green plant and wonder why it isn't blooming, stop asking what you're doing wrong. Ask what specific signal your plant is waiting for. And if you want to know exactly what signals different species need, check out our next video, where we break down